Hey guys, this is TJ and Sarah back with Blue Dog Ventures. I made a video a week or so ago about 8 creative ways to make money with your chickens, and I asked in that video, one of the ways that my chickens get to earn their keep is I sell fertile hatching eggs online, and I asked in that video if anybody was interested, I would go more in depth on that process and how I market and pack the hatching eggs for shipping. So that's what this video is going to be about. I'll just take you through. I actually do have an eBay order to prepare, so y'all can come along with me. We're going to go ahead and collect today's eggs. I haven't done that yet. And I'll show you how I kind of tidy those up if they're messy for shipping. Because as I've told you guys before, we don't want to wash the eggs, the protective bloom that the hen puts on there for us. So we don't want to do away with that. Sorry, let me get the gate shut. But looks like they're still laying. But we're gonna mess them up and get what they've already got. Excuse me, ladies. Hate to mess up good progress. Okay. We got one more. Okay, so got a couple more places over here to check for eggs. And we've been out of town since Thursday, and my mom thankfully has come over here and seen about the chickens and the dogs and all that good stuff, because as you know, those that have animals, when you get away for a few days, you've always got to line somebody up to take care of things for you. And luckily Mom took care of that. And we've got one more egg over here in this pen. Let's see. Okay. All right, we're gonna go add that to what my mom collected while we were gone. She went ahead and separated them out for me, Friday's eggs and Saturday eggs. And of course today is the Sunday eggs. And I only have one order going out, being 1 dozen. So we're gonna try to stick with today's eggs. I should have, if I've got enough color variety, because the way I market and sell on eBay is I like to sell a variety of the colors, because that's what I'm marketing for, is the rainbow layers. And so hopefully today we've got a good enough selection of the browns and the greens and blues to suffice and fill up a dozen for the egg order. If not, I'll pull from yesterday's eggs. Like I say, I always like to use the freshest eggs that I have available, but I also like to include my customers with a good variety of color, because that is what I market and advertise. So we'll come on in here and I'll show you guys how we kind of get them cleaned up a little bit, and then we'll start our packing process. Okay guys, let's see what we ended up with color-wise. See if we've got a good variety on just today's eggs or not. So I take your just regular hydrogen peroxide, and they sell them in these little convenient, or sell the peroxide in these convenient little spray bottles, which makes my life much easier doing this process. And then I just buy the big bottles, and when this gets low, I just refill this spray bottle. But it's just regular generic hydrogen peroxide. I'll take a dry paper towel. What I'm going to do is just dampen the paper towel just a little bit and just lightly wipe. And you don't want to wipe very hard at all, just very lightly, very lightly. And as you wipe the wetness, you'll see that it'll change colors, and then your bloom will dry right back, just to prove that it's not destroying or taking away the bloom. You can see how that one's already drying back. We're also checking that none of the eggs are misshapen or defective in any way. And then we're also looking for any hairline cracks that we may see with our naked eye. And once we have them all clean, we're going to cut out the light, and I'm actually going to candle them with a small flashlight. Again, we're going to check the air cell, and we're checking for any hairline cracks that we may have missed with our naked eye. Alright, it's not dark outside, so there's some light coming through the window. But this is just a regular little rechargeable flashlight. What I'm doing is I'm going to check for any hairline cracks that we may not been able to see with our naked eye. And we're also going to try to check the air cell to make sure that it's intact. And I'm having a hard, so on some of these colored eggs, it's very hard to see. I'm not able to see on that one. Okay, prime example. This right here, this is something we weren't able to see with our naked eye. But that is a little tiny hairline crack. You can see when I shine the light on it. But as you can see, without the light, it's very hard to see those cracks. This is why I always like to use the flashlight. There's our air cell. There's our air cell. Intact. Looks good. But just to show you what the air cell is supposed to look like. Okay? But those are two things that we're looking for before we pack the eggs. We're checking for any hairline cracks that we can't see with our eye, our naked eye. And we're checking the air cell. And let me go ahead and jump in and explain. I mentioned in the other video the 8 creative ways to make money with chickens. Different ways that you can make money. One of them being selling fertile hatching eggs online. And this is something that I do and have done for 4 or 5 years now. But you need to check your regulations for your state to find out what you need to do to be within the law and regulations of selling fertile hatching eggs and shipping across your state lines. In the state of Georgia, and I think that this rings true on most every state, some states have a few more steps that you have to go through, or a few more regulations, just depending on the individual state. But I'm pretty sure that every state within the U.S. that you do have to be NPIP certified with the National Poultry Improvement Plan. And they will send techs out to your house to test your birds. And this will happen twice a year. The first time that they come during the year, they will actually draw blood from your birds, each and every bird in your flock. And then the second testing of the year, they will be able to just collect and test your eggs. So do research and read online and reach out to the proper authorities on poultry involvement in your state. Like I say, NPIP, National Poultry Improvement Plan, you can look those up online. I will link that website in the description below. They have tons and tons of information that you can read and understand, and they should have each regulation specified for each state. Like I say, I live in Georgia, so that is what I have familiarized myself with. I'm not 100% on all the other states. So you will want to check into that so you can make sure that you are shipping legally. But once you do that, and as for me, and here in my district in the state of Georgia, the process was very, very simple to become a member of NPIP, and I have remained a member. And like I say, the only requirement is that they do those 2 testings a year, and that has been absolutely a breeze. It's basically, like I say, the tech will reach out to you and say, hey, it's time to test your birds. Can we set up a date? And you'll set up a date and a time that works and is convenient for you. And they'll come out to your farm. What I do is I'll go ahead and have all my flock contained where I can just go in and, get them one, hand them off. She'll test the bird, draw blood, and, release the bird into a bigger pen, and you keep them separated and just keep it working like clockwork like that. So the day of, like I say, you will have to confine your birds and be able to catch them quickly. And I have around 45 chickens. And so depending on the size of your flock, how long this process will take. But they do this for a living, and they do it day in and day out. And so they're very quick with their process. You'll go through a lot of birds in a short amount of time. Let you know the results of the testing after they get done with that. So quite simple. It's very cheap. The membership fee is cheap. I think that varies from state to state, so you'll have to check on your own pricing per state. But the actual testing is just pennies. I mean, it's per bird. I can't remember the exact amount, but the fees involved in being NPIP certified and the membership itself it's not expensive at all, and very easy process. So if shipping hatching eggs and selling hatching eggs is something that would make you money and make you revenue and for you to put back into your flock, I would highly suggest going ahead and doing that process and getting certified. And it's a good way to keep your flock healthy too, to keep them tested and to make sure that no diseases are entering your flock. So it's just an all around, in my opinion, a good thing to be involved with. Back to the marketing of the eggs. I mentioned in the original video that not all e-commerce platforms allow the sale of hatching eggs on their platform. So you do want to be careful, and you do want to check into those. There's a lot of new e-commerce platforms that I quite frankly have no experience with, or I'm not familiar with at all. So if you are dealing with one of the newer platforms, do look into the regulations of what you can and cannot sell. A lot of them have help resources where you can email the platform and just ask them. But eBay is one that I have been using for the whole time that I've been doing this process, and highly recommend selling on eBay. And I've also used, I mentioned Facebook, and the way I did this is I made a page, a farm page, and I started listing my eggs there. And then I reached out and joined. There's actually several groups across the United States where you can join the hatching egg groups. If you'll just search fertile hatching eggs and groups, then you can become a member of those, and they'll have the guidelines that they like for you to use when selling hatching eggs. You kind of have to be careful with your wordage on Facebook, but they'll explain that to you. But I've done real good on Facebook also. So Facebook may be an option for you, especially if you already have a farm page and you're already a member of some of the poultry groups and the hatch and egg groups. The hatch and egg groups are specifically for the buying and selling and trading of hatching eggs. So those people that are in those groups, those are the target people that you want anyway. So that may be something that you want to check out. But currently, I am just strictly selling on eBay. My reasons for doing that is because my farm account Facebook page got hacked and turned into a complete chaos, and so I just shut the page down and just chose to do it on eBay, just strictly on eBay. And it's been a little less hectic for me that way. But if you're just starting out and you're trying to make a name for yourself, and you have a large flock where you can produce a good many orders, a good amount of orders to ship out of hatching eggs, I'm not knocking the Facebook option at all. It served me tremendously well for around 3 years. Like I say, it was just a mishap for me that my Facebook got hacked, and like I said, it just turned into a turmoil, and it was just easier for me just to delete the whole account, and that is what I did. And instead of building all that back, I just went strictly to eBay. But moving along on the process of actually collecting, which we've already done, and the way I market them, again, I told you I market as rainbow layers, and so I want to offer in every dozen that I send out, because that is what I do on eBay. And if you'll look at the listings on eBay, that's another thing. Just kind of do your homework and kind of piddle around on eBay and look at all the different listings and their wordage and how they do it and their pictures that they take of the eggs. You'll see that eBay, if you're looking for a dozen eggs, most of the time the listing will read 10 plus 2 or 10 plus 2 extras or something to that effect. It never says a dozen eggs, but I've put in my description of my egg listings that you will receive 12 eggs. But the title of my listing says 10 plus 2. Why they do it that way, I'm not real sure, but I just have always followed suit because that's the way everyone does it on eBay. I pack and prepare these eggs. If I was the one receiving them in the mail, would I be satisfied with them? Because as with anything else in life, your reputation counts for a whole lot. I have a lot of return customers on eBay, but I try to go the extra mile if they have questions, if they have concerns, if they receive their eggs damaged, if they have questions about the hatching process. I try to offer them all that I can and all the help that I can. And I try to work with them in a situation where it's out of my hands and it's out of their hands, such as the eggs getting destroyed in the mail stream. 9 times out of 10, I'll either offer to replace the eggs, send them another dozen on me. You could offer to send them another dozen if they would pay for the shipping. That's something that you're just going to have to work out between you and the customer. at the end of the day, I just want a happy customer, and I try to put myself in their shoes. And you know, I also put on my listing, as we all know, hatching eggs, they're 100% a gamble, because once they leave my hands, I cannot guarantee how they're going to be treated, what temperatures they're going to be put through, how much they're going to be jarred around, if they're going to arrive without any more, you know, any hairline cracks, or the air cells may get detached from the jarring of the transportation. There's a lot of variables in shipping hatching eggs, and so this is something that I take into consideration. This is something that I ask the customer to take into consideration. And like I say, I try my best to work with the customer in the event this something happens. But if you're marketing purebred eggs, you know, you want to pick the best eggs you have available to ship. And you can, again, research on eBay what those purebreds are bringing, how everybody else has got theirs, the price ranges that they have theirs priced at. Okay, now for what most of you have been waiting on, is you would like to know how I pack these eggs for safe delivery to the recipient. And also and sometimes that's not even 100% United States Postal Service proof, should I say. But I've had really good luck with my method in packing eggs for shipping. Overall, I have had some, of course, to get messed up in the mail. It's going to happen, and you're going to have to account for that. You're going to have some that just get lost, that just vanish off the face of the earth, never to return or never to show up again. But you're just, like I say, these eggs do not cost me anything other than the feed that I feed my chickens, which I'm going to do anyway for them to provide for my family. So I look at it as it's no cost to me other than the materials I use for packing and the shipping cost. And again, that's your decision to make. You can offer to replace the eggs completely, including the shipping, or you can work with the customer and say, look, if you're willing to pay the shipping, I'll be glad to send you another dozen. Again, that's your own preference and how you work that out with your customer. You can use used egg crates. If you've had friends or family that'll save them for you, there's nothing wrong with that. I'll just order off eBay. These are usually, sometimes you can look up and just get defect cartons. But I also purchase those from eBay. You can look them up and just find the cheapest. The styrofoam, though, they have to be the styrofoam, or that's the ones that I use because they offer the extra protection during shipping. But again, you can also buy used ones off of eBay. But just look around and see what works for you. I ordered these foam sleeves off of eBay. I will link that in the description below. And the dimensions, because I can't rightly remember at the moment. I'm thinking they're maybe 3x5. I'm not, like I said, I'll link these in the description and their measurements and all. But they're perfect. They're little sleeves, little pockets, pouches. But I place the egg, and be sure that you pointy end down when you're packing. But I'll just stick the egg in, fold over, and just wrap around like so. And then I'll just kind of twist them into the egg carton so they're firmly in there. There's no play, no looseness. If you have breeds that you're working with that lay really large eggs, you're going to have to accommodate for that. If you end up ordering cartons off of eBay, make sure they're for the jumbo eggs. But again, just fold it down and I'll wrap it around, and then I'll kind of twist down into the egg carton. Okay, so we've got them all snug and tightly in there. Then I just fold my egg carton over. And if you got any hanging out, I just stuff that in. And then I take tape and I go around 3 times. I go around the ends and then the middle. And I pull it really tight. The middle. And the other end. This is just keeping them nice, tightly packed. Okay? Now, I'm going to set those to the side. Okay, you can order priority products free on USPS.com. I highly recommend that you go ahead and get that app on your phone, and you can order the supplies. I use what they call the shoe box, priority box, and it does look like a shoe box. But we'll go ahead and tape those ends, or one end rather. And then I go to my local newspaper here in town. They gladly supply me with old bundles of newspaper, and that's what I use to pack down into the box. I just wad that up and pack them down. And I also save, at my work, we get a lot of boxes and UPS boxes and stuff with supplies in them, and a lot of the time they'll come with the bubble wrap. I'll take and I'll wrap my eggs in the bubble wrap. And then I'll just fold that one that way and fold this one that way. We'll bring our box back in. And I try to pay attention when I'm putting them in the box. This is the front where the label goes. So I want the top of my egg carton to go to the label side. That's not to say that the post office is going to keep them that way, but it's worth a try. So once I have them in there, then I continue with the newspaper. I just pack that down along the sides. And then I'll just put some on the very end. Okay, that way there's no movement. They're packed tight. My hands have the ink on them now, so I'm probably going to get the box nasty, but I'm not going to take time to go wash them for video's sake. I always tape across and then long ways. Now, in the event that I get an order from one person for more than 1 dozen, if it's 2 dozen, what I normally do is I'll pack 2 of these this exact same way. 1 dozen in one box and the other dozen in the other box. And then I take my 2 boxes, stack them on top of one another, tape around. And so they're still 1 unit, but they're both packaged individually for secure shipping. Now, if you get multiple orders, that's something that you're going to have to take into account and figure out the best method on shipping. To do that, depending on how many they have ordered. Sometimes I'll get an order for 4 dozen. You'll just have to figure out a method that works for you guys. But as far as this single order, it's pretty much ready to go. What I do is I'll print my label through eBay. I have the sticky adhesive labels that I just feed through my printer, and you print your label right there through eBay. And then your NPIP paperwork is supposed to be attached to the exterior of the box. You can order just the plastic sleeves to put those in, and I just wrap them around the box. Once I print that out, I'll put that in here. To touch on that for just a second, when you become an NPIP member, every shipment of egg that is outside the state that you live in, if you're shipping across state lines, it's required to have paperwork, and you have to submit what we call a 9-3 form. You have to submit that electronically, saying who you're shipping it to, their full name, address, the amount of eggs that you're shipping, and there's a couple of other fields that you'll have to fill out with additional information. It's quick and easy. I know it sounds like a lot, but it's not. It really isn't. It'll take you less than a minute to fill out the form electronically. They'll email you back an approved form, and that approved form is what you're going to attach the exterior of your box. Now, again, this probably differs from state to state. I can only speak from my own personal experience that I have here in Georgia. But that's just like I have not submitted my 9-3 form yet for this shipment. It is Sunday afternoon, probably around, I'm guessing 2 o'clock. I'm not going to stop the video to look on my phone. But I'm going to submit this just as soon as I conclude the video. And I will have my approved form emailed back to me, I'm going to say no later than probably 6 p.m. tonight. Plenty of time for me to print that, stick it on my box, and take it with me to work in the morning and I'll drop this off at the post office. You know, at my post office, I never stand in line. I ship all the time. They know me. I've already got my prepaid label on there. I stick it up there on the counter and give them a quick wave, and I'm on my merry way. So I usually do that on my lunch break, just run it into the post office, and that's all there is to it. Let's jump back to the eBay for just a second. You're going to have to figure out, like I said, you're going to have to look and see what relatable eggs to yours are going for, what they're priced at. And you're going to have to decide how you want to do shipping. If maybe you want to set the price a little bit higher and then offer free shipping. But I advise you to be very careful with offering the free shipping, simply because depending on what zone you live in and what zone you're mailing to, your prices are going to vary unless you use the flat rate shipping boxes. I'm not going to go that route simply because I know that I can ship for a lot less majority of the time than that flat rate. In my own box, you know, this is a non-flat rate priority box. I should have mentioned that earlier. I don't use the flat rate because 9 times out of 10, I can ship in a non-flat rate box cheaper than I can paying that flat rate fee. But the flat rate is a convenience because you already know the amount that your postage is going to cost, whether that be extended out to your customer or whether you're going to take care of it for the customer. However, I can ship for a lot cheaper by using the non-flat rate. And what I do is I use the calculated shipping option. I set my price for my eggs on eBay, what I have to have for my time and investment in these eggs. I state that, and I set it at that, and then I use the calculated shipping option on eBay where the customer, it calculates, because I have to put my dimensions in, but I always use these boxes. The only time that it's going to change is if I have a multiple order. But you can adjust accordingly going into your eBay settings, but that's something you just have to play around with. And there's plenty of information on that, especially on eBay if you just go to the help center. Mostly you're just going to be doing single orders. That's normally what I do. Every once in a while I'll get a multiple order, but I do much more of the single. And so with that said, I always use these shoebox sizes, so I know the dimensions. In fact, the dimensions are printed on the box right here for you. And my weight is always within just a few ounces because I use the same shipping. The only thing that varies is, if I use a sheet or two more of the newspaper. So I always put my eggs at 3 pounds. Because I'm very close and I'm always just a little bit under 3 pounds on packaging this way on a single order. That covers and that gives me a rock solid place that I can set it so that it can do the calculated shipping for the customer depending on what zone and how far away they live from me. And it calculates it right there for them, so there's no guesswork for me, there's no guesswork for the customer. And this is the method that has worked the best for me. If the hatching eggs is something that you're looking to get into, I highly recommend it. Like I say, I have made a significant amount of money shipping hatching eggs. And it's something that I enjoy doing and provides me enough normally to cover my year-long feed bill just from what I get off hatching eggs. So definitely something to look into, and I hope for you guys that ask for a more in-depth video that I have covered everything. If not, please feel free to ask any questions. If you have any concerns or anything that I've confused you on, just let me know in the comments. I'll be glad to clarify the best that I can or answer anything that I may have not covered in the video. I tried to go over every aspect that came to mind, but that's not to say that I didn't skip over something that might have been very important. If you got something out of this video, definitely give us a thumbs up. And you guys be sure and subscribe if you're looking for more chicken videos. We do a lot more. We do a lot of cooking, all kinds of stuff. We usually have a little something for everybody. So hit that subscribe button, and as always, we appreciate you watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks, guys.